Hey, what's up everyone? Dragon here to tell you you should be watching Under the Skin. So Under the Skin is a 2013 film directed by Jonathan Glazer and starring Scarlett Johansson, who most of you will probably know as Black Widow from the Avengers films. This film was kind of a really small, let's say, independent film. Didn't really get a wide release. In fact, I'm not even sure it was even released in theaters everywhere. So it didn't really make a lot of money. So if you haven't heard of it, it's probably not that surprising. I myself only found out about it after it was put on home release, and so being kind of an avid fan of kind of small, just kind of avant-garde science fiction films, not to sound like hoity-toity or anything, but I sometimes like the weirder stuff as opposed to just always the big grandiose stuff. I checked it out, and when I was reading the synopsis of it, it reminded me a lot of Species, a 1990, I believe it was 1996 film, where about we make an alien, the alien gets loose, now it's running around causing trouble. So my first thought I was basically going to be like, well, Species with Scarlett Johansson, which admittedly I had no problem with. But when I finally checked it out, I realized it was something much more. This is not a creature that mankind created, but rather one that's come to visit this world, or part of a species that has been visiting this world, studying humans, trying to understand humans. And this story takes place from the perspective of this alien, which has taken on the guise of this woman that is Scarlett Johansson. And in doing so, basically, we learn how they perceive our behavior. This is a film that's not really just a character study, but a study on human behavior. What defines us as human beings, and how that would look to a species that comes from somewhere else and has a very different kind of mode of operation. Basically, the way they process information, the way they process emotion. And you see that a lot because essentially Scarlett Johansson's character, the alien, is essentially a psychopath. And not that she's running around on a murdering spree, but she doesn't feel the way we do. Not initially, anyway. There's a great scene where a man dies, she kills a man, and the baby is there, the child crying on the beach. And she doesn't kill the child, don't worry, spoilers, but she just walks away from it, no, not feeling, not registering, not even understanding why this child is in a state of duress. It's just not clicking to her. So you realize that this is a creature that is a danger to us, not because of any kind of malicious intent, but just because there's no filter, there's nothing inhibiting it from taking action that we would deem as violent or aggressive for it to acquire something it might need. One of the interesting things about this movie too, you might notice that the acting is very natural, and a big part of that as well. Scarlett Johansson does a phenomenal job in a role adopting a British accent for this film. For those of you who don't know, she's not British or English; she's American. But in my opinion, did a good job of it. Those of you who are of the UK persuasion, maybe you guys might feel differently, being more familiar with the accent than I am, being an American. So if her accent was terrible, actually leave some comments below, let me know. Sounded good to me, but I'm not an expert. So, but and there's a lot of great scenes where she's driving up, talking to people, and the acting is very natural, very fluid, and those scenes were actually all improv. These were just random people on the street that she would pull up and start interacting with. And I'm assuming later on the producers told, by the way, you're in a movie and that's Scarlett Johansson, in case you didn't hear. I wonder how many outtakes there were of that where people did recognize her as Scarlett Johansson. I'm sure there was probably like 20 or 30 of them, letting on the cutting room floor because they just couldn't use them because they're like, holy shit, Scarlett Johansson's pulling up to me trying to pick me up. But so there's a lot of moments like that where they use just a lot of like improv. Just walk up to a person on the street, ask them a question as that character, and just have them respond, naturally. Assuming that's what you're looking for, then there you go. Maybe give them, something from craft services. I don't know. But otherwise, you don't have to really pay them, I'm assuming. I don't know. Again, if I'm wrong, let me know. But you basically take this journey with this alien. But the interesting thing about this alien is that the longer she's in this human form, this biological guise, if you will, the more human she becomes. Not necessarily the way she's acting, but the way she's interpreting the world, interpreting what's happening to her. Because she initially starts off very cold, very detached, very removed. And essentially she's harvesting humans, and it seems like she's harvesting men in particular. They go as when she's about to, she seduces them, lures them in, basically kind of like a siren essentially, And then it always cuts to these really kind of abstract sequences of them walking in black and then being pulled down in water, and it's kind of supposed to represent basically they're being harvested. It's very kind of an very artistic way of I'm assuming showing basically how she's just killing and harvesting the human. Um, and essentially that's all her mission is. But again, as she starts connecting with people, as she starts meeting new people, she's becoming biologically, psychologically more human, which is running contrary with how her natural instinct, which is to essentially be the polar opposite, to not feel, to not connect. And it's kind of throwing her off balance, so to speak. And you see her kind of coming into conflict. At one point, there's this great scene where she's like eating, I believe it was cake, if I'm not mistaken, some kind of dessert. And usually when we eat something we like and we like it, it's like, oh wow, it triggers all kinds of sensations, our pleasure centers of our brain. It makes us happy. We feel pleasure. We enjoy it. Whereas her species, there would be no, you would eat something simply to survive. You don't derive pleasure from it. There's a degree of disconnect. And now there is a connection, and she's experiencing these kind of sensations, these pleasurable sensations as a result of doing something for the first time. So she eats something, it tastes good, she likes it, but she doesn't know what it means to like something that you're eating. She doesn't know what it means to like something. So it's throws her off balance. There's a great scene where she's starting to have sex with a character, and the moment of penetration, she stops and starts frantically, checking out the plumbing, because in her mind it's like this would be an injury, this would be an attack, what's happening to her. And basically, it ultimately kind of not concludes, but it results in this great scene where she kind of beholds herself for the first time in a mirror, and just kind of checks herself out and stops seeing what's looking back at her in a reflection as just this husk, this suit, this god, but as something beautiful, as a biological entity, something that she's not apart from, but a part of. And that's really what this movie is about. It's about kind of understanding what it means to be human, kind of stepping outside of ourselves for a moment, and really trying to understand basically everything we do from an abstract perspective. Because when you're kind of in the thick of it, it's hard to really see the bigger picture. But maybe seeing it through the eyes of something else, you can kind of maybe see human behavior for what it is. And then it shows you the good, it shows you the bad, it kind of shows you everything in between, and really kind of shows just how much we are kind of governed by our own psychology, by the way our mind works, by the way we're wired, and about how changing one little thing in that wiring can completely change who we are, what we are, how we perceive our reality. Just as it did with this character, she started off wired one way and slowly began to change throughout the course of the film, till now she got to a point where she was now different. She had become something different. She wasn't human, but she was no longer that alien that started before. She was something in between, something that really didn't belong now in either world. So I'm not going to spoil the end for you, but it's a kind of a psychological voyage. And I know that for some people, those kind of movies kind of it's not my thing. I'm not really into the kind of the artsy fartsy thing, and I understand that. So be warned, if you're not really into movies like, for instance, like 2001: A Space Odyssey, very cerebral films, this might not be your cup of tea. However, I would still recommend checking it out, because maybe up to this point you didn't really like these movies. Maybe though this will be the movie that gets you into those kind of movies, or maybe this will be the only one like that you'll enjoy. But it'll still be a film to enjoy, and I definitely think it's a film worth talking about, worth looking at more. And for no other reason, I think Scarlett Johansson does a a job. I mean, again, most people know her for kind of her big budget, action work, which is, I love it too. But it's always nice when you see actors, especially actors of this caliber, who don't need to do smaller films. They've made their money, they don't have to hustle anymore, but they still go back and take these very kind of narrative and character-driven stories, because they just, I'm sure, it tests you as an actor. So it's always nice to see them kind of go back and still really just do films that, for no other reason, it pushes their craft. And again, it's a damn good movie. I was pleasantly surprised, especially going into it thinking it was going to be one thing, which I already liked and enjoyed, but I kind of felt too it was going to be a bit redundant, because, well, Species is already sitting on my Blu-ray shelf. Okay, and they made a few sequels to that even. So, do we really need another Species-esque movie? Probably not, but what the hell, why not? Only to find out that it was nothing of the sort, something completely different, completely new, and very original, and very, very entertaining, and just an all-around pleasant surprise. So, my recommendation to you is that you should be watching Under the Skin. I'll leave a link or a couple links below where you can buy the movie and check it out for yourself, because I definitely think it's worth seeing. So thanks for watching, guys. Keep checking in. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have any suggestions of movies, maybe, or movies, anime, television that you like, that you think I might like, that you would like to see me discuss on this show, please do let me know, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace!